Bahrain qualifying is nearly upon us and the drivers look as if they're all geared up to go. I expect we'll be getting underway very shortly. I was looking at some highlights of previous races here, and the one thing that really stood out to me was the run down to turn one. It's not an easy one to navigate as everyone is scrapping to get into there first.
It's the scene of many incidents as drivers jostle for position. You have to make a choice between going for it and self-preservation. There's no point in going in hot if you don't come out intact the other side. Even if you're at the front, you will be worrying about the guys behind you.
Well done. Very solid result. You're looking good for the race.
The curtain rises once more then on the desert stage of Sakir as the players take their places for the opening act. Will they enthrall us like they did in 2014 with that titanic battle between Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton? Well, we'll find out shortly as we get underway here in Bahrain. We'll be racing around 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit today. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left down into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix. Let's talk about Turner. They're still relatively new to a sport which does have a high learning curve and, of course, little tolerance for mistakes.
That's right, it is a difficult environment to come into. In junior categories, you're competing against drivers with similar levels of experience. But some of these guys in Formula One have been there for over a decade. But I have to say, in this case, it's so far so good.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and starting alongside in P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Turner, Valtteri Bottas, and Verstappen, Perez, Magnussen, Ricciardo, and Roman Grosjean, Hülkenberg, Stroll, Carlos Sainz, and Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Norris, Pierre Gasly, and Daniel Kvyat. Russell and Robert Kubica takes the last spot on the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
A strong start. Well done. Officials have enabled DRS. DRS is now available. Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. You'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross over into the track. Mix 2, fuel to mix 2. Green flag. The car behind has boxed for the mediums. Car behind on the medium tyre. Right, some information on Hamilton. They seem to have an issue. We've pretty much burned off our excess fuel. We'll be back on target soon. Don't wait too long to turn the engine down. There's only one lap of fuel remaining. Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
So after a we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot. A well-earned victory for Mercedes. So let's review the updated driver's standings. It's a great result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Carlos Sainz certainly wasn't someone to scoff about. His ability to follow race strategies throughout with pinpoint precision has to be commended.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Meanwhile, good work from Racing Point this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to...
Great work out there today. Let's have your thoughts.
You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled. Do you have any comments about the collisions?
Well, thanks anyway. Great work this weekend. It was fantastic to see you up on that podium.